It's your boy Loami Richardson here. Just want to say thank you so much for purchasing my book. I Am is Greater Than I Was, From Identity Loss to Purpose Found. In this book, as well as in this 10-part video series, we're going to go through each chapter of my book, highlighting the principles that I want you to apply, as well as the question that each chapter presents to help you find your purpose, your calling, and your identity. All right, you guys. So we're going to dive into chapter 1 of the book, Born a Mistake. I know you probably read this chapter. You thought to yourself, like, yo, who throws hands at their pops? You know, I did. I was very rebellious. I was very hurt in my experience as a teenager. And so when I got into this altercation with my pops, and as I was getting arrested and heading over to the juvenile detention center, and I heard those words that my pops told me, you know, you're just a mistake, it really negatively affected me. Not only did it negatively affect my outlook on life, but my purpose and my vision and the goals that I thought that I wanted to achieve. And so in this chapter, I really want to highlight that the things that have been told to you, the mistakes that you have made, you're not defined by those mistakes, that you can overcome whatever anger issues, whatever disappointments, whatever negative words that have been told to you, you can overcome those things and you can be a success. I am living proof that you can be. All right, you guys. Since this time, my dad did pass away. And as I got older and maturer, I realized that the principles that my father was implementing in me, I much appreciated it as I got older. And so rest in peace, Pops. But since that time, you know, I did mature into the man that he wanted me to be. And I grew from the mistakes that I made. And we had a great relationship towards the end of his life, especially right before he passed. But I wanted to really chime in, really to tone in on the principles that I want you to gather from this chapter, Born a Mistake. You see, one of the major things that I was trying to highlight in this chapter is that I was trying to seek and discover my purpose and meaning in this world, right? Like, what is my place in this world? What is my purpose? What was I placed in this world to achieve and to accomplish and to do? And because I made so many mistakes as a teenager, because I didn't meet the expectations that my teachers and my mother and my father had of me, I was defined by those mistakes. I was defined by those failures. And so when I heard my dad tell me, you're nothing but a mistake, you know, that really solidified what I already had in my heart, right? Those insecurities stemmed back up again after hearing those words. And because I labeled myself as a mistake, you know, I was trying to search my identity and hope to come across some answers. And so I was trying to find my identity through alcohol, through weed, through sports, through relationships, through fighting, through clubbing, through partying. All of these things I was latching onto in hopes to find my purpose and my identity. Because at the end of the day, what's the purpose of really accomplishing goals in my life if I was just a mistake? What is the purpose of me doing well in school and getting good grades if at the end of the day, I'm just going to mess up? And so those are the words that really impacted me, that made me look at life far different than in a negative way than I should have, right? Also, the one question that we've all asked ourselves at some point in our lives, whether we're 12 years old or 55 years old, is the question, who am I? Right? What do you see when you look yourself in the mirror? Right? Are you defined by the clothes that you wear, by the PlayStation 5 that you just purchased, by the house that you live in, by the friendships that you have, right? By the grades that you obtain, by the college that you attend? What defines you? Because once those things are removed, the question still remains, who am I? Right? And this is a common question that every single person, whether you're watching, whether you're reading this book, have asked themselves, you know, at the end of the day, who am I? Right? And from that question stems the other questions. What is my purpose? What is my calling? What have I been put on this earth to be and to achieve? Because at the end of the day, guys, you will never find your purpose. You will never find your calling. You will never know what you've been put on this earth for if you don't know who you are, right? What is allowing you, what drives you, what makes you wake up in the morning, what fulfills you? Because if you're not feeling fulfillment in your career, if you're not feeling fulfillment every single day you wake up in the morning, it's because at the end of the day, you don't know who you are, right? So as I was growing up, I would repeatedly ask myself these same questions as well. Like, yo, If I'm just a one big screw up, if I'm just a mistake, then at the end of the day, what's the purpose of me going to school? What's the purpose of me obeying and doing what's right when at the end of the day, people's not going to care what I do and what I say? I'm going to live my life and I'm going to live it to the fullest, right? Because at the end of the day, the reason why I was making these foolish mistakes is because I did not know who I was. And so I was trying to search it through means of partying and drugs and relationships and all of these things to try to fill a void that my heart possessed. And so at the end of the day, the culture tells us that we should live young, be wild, act free, right? The slogan is YOLO. You only live once, right? And at the end of the day, you do you. Don't worry about what people tell you about yourself, right? Enjoy your life to the fullest. But the question is, how can you really fulfill, right? Live your life to the fullest and really be free if you don't know what you've been created to be? Right? When the party ends, right? Your friends are gone. When you get off your high, right? When the liquor wears off, at the end of the day, who are you? Right. And so we gravitate to cheap thrills, and we gravitate to high experiences. But when those experiences and those thrills are gone, you still have to deal with yourself. And so what happens when you don't know the answer to the question regarding who you are? That is a question that I was presenting in this chapter, because if I am a mistake, at the end of the day, I'm defined by the things that I have not achieved and all the wrongs that I have done, then yeah, life is one big party, right? Life is what I make it, and I'm going to enjoy my life, and I don't care what people think of me. But at the end of the day, when those things are gone, I still had to answer that question: who am I? So here's some questions that I really want you to focus on as we conclude this video, right, you guys? Who am I? When you look yourself in the mirror, what do you see? Right? Are you defined by your grades? Are you defined by your Jordans? Are you defined by the car that you possess, the roof that you live in? Right? The questions, the same points that I made earlier on. You have to ask yourself the questions: if these things are removed, who am I? What is it that I see as I see myself reflected back from the mirror, right? And then you want to ask yourself, okay, who am I when it's all said and done? If I don't have a college degree, if I don't make good grades, if I'm not the fastest basketball player, if those things don't define me, and I've come to the conclusion of who am I and what I've been created to be, then I want you to ask yourself the question, what do you want out of life? Right? What do you expect life to give you? Because one thing that I've learned throughout my experience is that whatever I put in is what I'm going to get out. And so the reason why I kept getting negative feedback from life was because I kept putting negative into my life, right? And so the reason why is because I didn't know who I was. But once I found out who I was able to answer the questions. This is what I want out of life, and this is what life is willing to give back to me if I put the work in, right? And so ask yourself this question, the third question here on the screen. Really be honest with yourself. Do you struggle with finding your purpose and identity? Right? Do you really struggle with finding meaning in life? Do you struggle with what you've been created to be? And at the end of the day, the reason why we can't find our purpose and identity is because we've allowed our failures, or we've allowed negative opinions about ourselves to really contribute to the way that we look at life. So ask yourself, what has contributed to who you are today? Why are you in the situation or the position that you are today? And if you're in that position because of the mistakes that you made, then you have to ask yourself, okay, was I living up to my purpose? Was I living up to the identity that I know of who I am? And at the end of the day, do I know who I am? Right. Lastly, this is an important question. I think if you can really focus in and answer this question truthfully, it will help you answer the questions above. What do you feel you were created to be? Right? What problems do you see in society, in our culture, in your home, in your school, in your church, wherever you may be, that you feel is a problem that you are willing to solve? Because once you identify the problem and you bring a solution, then you can start understanding what you've been created to be, what your purpose on this earth is for. So again, just to quickly review over these questions: who am I? Who do you see in the mirror? What thoughts come to your mind when you ask yourself the question, who am I at the end of the day? Am I defined by things, or am I defined by what I've been created to be, right? What do you want out of life? What do you expect life to give you when it's all said and done? And if you're struggling with your purpose and identity, ask yourself, what has allowed me not to fulfill my purpose? Why am I struggling with my identity? What has contributed to my negative my negative way of thinking, the negative behavior that I sometimes possess? What contributed to me not knowing what my purpose is and my identity? And then finally, you guys, what do you feel you were created to be? All right. What solution can you bring to the problems that you face every single day? And once we answer those questions, we'll begin the journey of finding your purpose, your identity, and your voice in this generation. All right, you guys, that's the conclusion of video number 1. I will see you in chapter 2. See you on the next video. Peace.